Hello, welcome to today's Advent Drink Along with Beer Jack. I'm Luke, and today we are drinking a beer from Sunshine, which is their red Vienna lager, or Vienna style lager, as they've written on the can. Because Vienna lager is probably a geographically protected term, although that doesn't have any sway in our part of the world. But brewers will often use the word style out of respect for different regions. This is a beautiful looking Vienna lager from Sunshine, which is the oldest independent brewer in New Zealand. I say that with a question in my voice because there are lots of caveats. I think that Mike's and Sunshine kicks off at about the same time. Of course, Mike's Brewing doesn't exist now. There's still a bar in New Plymouth that's Mike's. But also Sunshine doesn't exist in the way that it originally existed. It was founded in 1989 by a couple of surfers near the beach who kept it going for, I think, about 25 years. And then it sold, so it's in new hands as of the 2010s. And they are still cranking out lots and lots of good beer, most iconically Gizzy Gold, which was... a very iconic beer around Gisborne, and it still is to this day. So there's Gisborne Gold and Gisborne Green that are both their core range that I'm sure they produce just vast amounts of, and they are very solid beers. So yeah, there was that era at the end of the 80s where you've had things like Max Gold, Gisborne Gold. It was fun to try the Coromandel Supply Co. Gold. I think there was a beer, Raglan Gold, a few years ago I remember drinking. So yeah, it definitely has a good heritage in New Zealand, the golden beers. So yeah, Sunshine, they are right by the beach, and as well as those giants in the core range, they put out a steady stream of interesting European styles and very good lagers, which, you know, I'm a big fan of. This is their Vienna lager. So we do the Advent calendar, which is, of course, drinking a different beer each day in December. Also at Beer Jack, you may or may not know that we have the Beer of the Week Club. So that's something that's been going for almost 11 years, which is exactly the same as this, only instead of every day drinking a beer, every week we drink a beer. So if you're not part of the Beer Jack Beer of the Week Club, get involved. Sign up to that, speed along to our website, and you can enjoy doing this once a week rather than every single day. We can't, probably wouldn't be a great idea to do this every 365 days of the year. So a couple of weeks ago, we had another Vienna lager in the beer club. So if you watched that video and drank along with it, I may be repeating a few parts this week, today rather. So at the moment, 8 Wired have also got a Vienna lager out, which is also fantastic. So yeah, it's often a thing like when two films come out that are about volcanoes or something. I feel like there are just various trends that you see in New Zealand, and brewers aren't necessarily inspired by one another. Often it's just that ingredients that are available, or they might have read similar blog posts or whatever it might be. So yeah, you'll often see that there's a bunch of brewers that have put out beers with mango at the same time. So there's a few Vienna lagers on the market at the moment, which is really cool. Well, I say there's a few. I think we've pretty much bought all of them. So there aren't many left now after us getting loads from 8 Wide for the beer club and then loads for our advent calendars. Anyway, Vienna lager is a really cool style, and it's one of those great things. A lot of beer styles are kind of lost in the mists of time. Things are just hazy, and then it's hard to pinpoint time periods or even pinpoint exactly what the style should be or what the ingredients should be or the processes. Things are often very vague. And even with new styles, things like the New Zealand Pilsner is pretty vague. You know, people use ale yeast or lager yeast. It's really not that specific. But Vienna lager has a very clear origin story that goes back to 1841 and one bloke called Anton Dreher. So he was a brewer from near Vienna in Austria, as would not come as any sort of surprise. And he just spent a lot of time traveling around Europe and learning about different techniques and processes. And that period of history was a very, very rich time and exciting time for brewing all across Europe. So huge things were happening, and he travelled to Britain, and he learned from the maltsters there about the new techniques they were using for malting their barley using coke, smoke-free fuel, so that you could get these lovely pale malts that were really revolutionising beer. And that led to the bitters and the pale ales becoming very popular. And then also he spent time in Bohemia and in Bavaria especially, so learning from those German lager brewers about cold conditioning, about bottom fermentation. So he took all this information, and it's believed that often he was in disguise as he was learning things. He just wouldn't quite announce who he was, which sounds like the plot of quite a fun TV show that I'd enjoy watching anyway, just Anton Dreher's travels. And he returned home to Austria, and he put into practice the new things he'd learned. And he came up with this new malt that he called Vienna malt, which was a lovely light pale malt, but actually with a little bit of colour to it, so resulting in these really beautiful ruby coloured light beers that didn't have any sort of smokiness or any ashiness or any any of your sort of roasty profile flavours. It was definitely on the lighter end of things, the same as the Pilsner malt and the pale ale malts that were happening in Burton at the time around England. And he created the Vienna malt, which is kind of biscuity. It's got character to it. There's more character, more body to it that it offers beers than your Pilsner malt or your pale ale malt. It's just like one notch further cooked. And if you don't know about malting, it is you get your grains of barley and you bake them. It's as simple as that. When you go to a homebrew shop and you see there's 30 different kinds of grain, different coloured barley there, from pitch black to really light pale, it's all the same grain. It's just been cooked for different periods, which means that the starches inside are easier or more difficult to get the sugars out of when you're brewing, and have different, very, very different kinds of flavours. So Vienna malt is a fantastic malt created by Anton Dreher, which is a great malt to use in brewing. It's a malt that I use a lot. So my good friend Matt, who I brew with at Small Gods, is a huge fan of Vienna lager and Vienna malt in general. And when you're brewing darker beer styles, you use a small amount of dark malt to give it its colour, its roastiness, its flavour. You need to use a lot of lighter malt because that's where you actually get the sugars from. It's the same as when you're baking bread. You don't bake a rye loaf with 100% rye. You put a lot of white flour in there because that's you need that for the gluten, for the body, for it to rise, for it to actually be fluffy. So it's the same with brewing any kind of dark beer. You actually do use a lot of light malts in there. So using medium coloured malts and a bit of a spectrum of flavours means that you get more layers, more complexity. So Vienna is a great base malt that we enjoy using often, rather than something like a Pilsner malt. So that's a bit of a trick for any of you homebrewers watching this. If you want to get more character into your beers. Anton Dreher also used everything he'd learned from those brilliant lager brewers that were making lovely lagers and pilsners, and created a whole new style that took over the world for a time. Became huge in Mexico, where the style never went away. In much of Europe, it definitely did fade into obscurity somewhat, with the explosion eventually of lagers, basically, and pilsners. But yeah, Anton Dreher is a huge name. When I was reading about his connection to Vienna lagers years ago, it rang a bell for me because I've travelled to Hungary quite a lot, and the biggest brewery there, so sort of equivalent to something like Carling or Carlsberg or Heineken, is at Dreher. You see their cans of green, not very good lager everywhere. And of course, it is connected. So it was Anton Dreher opened up breweries all across Europe. So the Dreher brewery in Hungary is connected to this beer style. But yeah, in the 1840s, the same year this was invented was the year that the Guinness family started exporting their beer to New York. And it was the same time that in Burton-on-Trent, the railway reached Burton-on-Trent, which meant that those wonderful English pale ales could start getting around Britain and then getting around the entire world. I think it was 1842 that Pilsner Urquell invented Pilsner, well, Czech Pilsner and modern Pilsners, and became another giant. So, yeah, if you've watched the House of Guinness that's on Netflix, that's all happening at this time when all these sort of developments were happening, just in the throes of the post-Napoleonic Europe and the Industrial Revolution really kicking off, and yeah, a very, very exciting time around the world. There was yeah, just huge things happening everywhere. And a lot of very good beer being made. So this beer is a lovely example. It is dry, it's got a bit of biscuit character, and that thing that I love so much, that it's interesting, but it's not necessarily overwhelming. It keeps you coming back for more. It's not cloying in any way, like a good lager should be. It's pretty light-bodied, and just a really solid pub beer, really. Really fantastic beer to enjoy on a Sunday afternoon. All right, good work, Sunshine. You brewers clearly know what you're doing when it comes to making good lagers. Please keep it up. And for everyone drinking along at home, cheers. I'll see you again tomorrow.